Yo, what's up guys? Gaz from Fermented World, pissing around with brews again. Today I am going to use some marmalade and some jam. But the trick is they've got whiskey in them. They're actually Hampton Spirits collections. Bought these, I say years, but a while ago. And just never really bothered to use them. So I'm going to make a melomel. It might be a melomel. I'm not sure what it is when you use sugars from like a jam or something like that. But either way, it's going to be some sort of mead because we're having honey in there as well. So this is a bit of a weird one, this, because obviously I have not done this before. So before we start, I'm going to hydrate my yeast, which I've had in my pocket to warm up because it's not long come out of the fridge. Room temperature is the best temperature. So I'm just going to bosh that in there and give it a little bit of a swirl. Get it all mixing itself in. Try not to slosh it everywhere. There we go. Right, so in this jug I have 1 litre of hot water. I'm going to add the contents. Oh, it smells very, very, very nice. I don't know why I haven't eaten this since beforehand. And this is going to go into the hot water, like so. Hopefully without splashing boiling hot water all over me. And then we're going to mix it all up. And yeah, I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. It could be a load of shit. It could be very nice. I could have very well invented something new. I've known people who've made meads from jams and a wine from jams, but I'm not sure whether they've mixed marmalade and a raspberry jam. So it could be a world's first. You saw it here on Fermented World. Oh shit, don't splash me. Very gloopy. It's going to come out in one big lump, that one. Sweet. Right. And then get rid of them. Right, so I need a spoon. My stirring spoon. And the idea is to melt all this down so that it goes into just liquid. I'm not sure whether it's going to work, but hey, got to give it a go, haven't you? Don't regret the things you have done, regret the things that you never tried. Now, I know for a fact that if I did leave this in as is, it would mash up. Now maybe, if I'd have thought about this properly, I'd have probably mashed all this up beforehand. But I'm going to keep stirring it until that's mostly done. Supersonic speed. Right, that hurt my arm. We've got most of it now melted in there. I'm not sure it's going to melt in anymore. I'm not too bothered as long as I can get it into the demijohn container to ferment it. That's what the main thing is. So now in goes the honey. This is 340, so 680 of honey. Which isn't a lot of honey, I know, but I've got a lot of sugars in the jams. So I'm not really too phased about not using the as much honey. I want honey in there because I want it to be classed as a mead or a melomel. Not sure what the actual name is when you make it from a cider, but I don't really care either. And so you want to aim for approximately no more than 5.5 litres, because that's what you'll fit in a gallon demijohn. Any more than that, you're going to be struggling to get headroom in there for whatever activity may or may not happen. Yeah, so I'm going to whack a little bit of water in them, and I shall be back momentarily. The reason for this is to get as much of that honey out of there to give it that nice sweet flavour. Now the fact that it's got whiskey in worries me slightly, because will that whiskey affect the ontake of the yeast? Will it kill the yeast? Or, but to be fair, I don't think there's a great deal in there per se. I don't really think it tells you either what percentage of it is alcohol. But it used a single malt whiskey anyway. It doesn't go in any detail at all to tell you how much. But it could just be the flavour of it and the alcohol's taken out. But if I remember rightly, when I did have some, it did sort of have a nice warming feeling to it. Alright, so that's as much as I'm going to get out of them. Or is it? Can I squeeze more? If I can, I want more. Alright, so I'm going to carry on mixing this in now. Now I'm mixing the honey into the jam and the marmalade. It doesn't look very nice. I'm not going to lie. It kind of looks like dirty dishwater. I'm not really selling my new recipe, am I? No. Right. So we're going to just mix that in. Mix, 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 mix. Plenty of mixing. And also, as you mix, you're introducing oxygen into that must as well. So, which is what that yeast is going to be craving to get itself going. Where are we at? No, not yet. Needs longer. I'll be back. There's no point you watching all of this, so just be forever stirring. Right. I actually got a fucking sweat on doing that. I had to open the bloody window. Right, so that's all that in there now. It's all really, really mixed up. There's no signs of any gooey drips. There's still a couple of lumps in there of the marmalade and jam, but I'm not bothered. I know that it'll eat through it eventually, even if it takes a bit longer. So now we need the vessel. The vessel matrestle. Which I said is a gallon. Now this one looks a bit bigger than my other ones. Now this might be a US gallon, because I think a US gallon is a little bit bigger for some reason. I don't know why. So, and another thing is what we're going to do is we're going to measure the temperature with a thermometer, because you can't pitch your yeast at a certain temperature. It has to be below a certain temperature, otherwise it just won't be happy. Just making sure my yeast is alright, hopefully. Doesn't seem to be doing a great deal, but I'm not worried. We shall see. And even if I do have to put extra yeast in, the dead yeast, if it is dead, or just dormant because it's been in the fridge, it will just act as food for the other yeast. So very carefully, now this is going into here. Make sure that the vessel you're putting it into is at room temperature. Don't have it freezing cold and then put a hot liquid in, because the glass will probably explode, and you do not want exploding glass. This will be helping to oxygenate the liquid as well, which will give the yeast a good start. I'm just waiting for some lumps to come through now and then block the bloody thing. I used to do it without a funnel, and I didn't used to have this pitcher either. Now this pitcher is amazing. It's huge, but it allows you to gauge how much you've got, what you've got, how much you're going to need to put in, and so on. And we will add extra water to this. This is just the initial liquid. Right, here comes the gloop, which has got all that orange rind in there. So I don't think it's going to go through this, but I will try it because I do want it in there. Okay, it's got a bit stuck. Go on, get in there. I'll be back in a minute. Super speed it, just to speed it up for you guys. And I'm back with some water. So A, this will cool it down, and B, it tops it up to the level we want it at. And then we'll mix all this in again. Check the temperature. If the temperature's good, we'll pitch the yeast. Now I'm going to leave more than usual headroom for this because I have no idea what it's going to do. The last mead I did, there was an experiment, I ended up having to put a blow-off tube on it. So I'm actually going to sterilise the stuff ready to rock and roll. And this is just normal tap water. I'm not really bothered about different types of water and stuff like that. You can use filtered, you can use spring, you can use whatever you bloody want. Me, I just use tap water. Always have done. Always will. I mean, I know it's got chlorine and stuff like that in, but if it's drinkable, it's usable. That's what I think. Now, because I don't know what it's going to do, actually, do you know what? I think it does need more. That's a lot of headroom. Well, because I don't know what it's going to do, I'm kind of worried about putting too much in. But at the same time, I want as much of the beverage as I can get my hands on. I think there. Which isn't far off there. Yeah, that's it. It is a done deal. That is that. Doesn't feel too warm. The stuff at the bottom feels quite warm. The stuff at the top doesn't. So we're going to just mash all that up now. Get it all going together. Happy as Larry. Before I do that, actually, I'm going to make even more mess. One thing you should know is I make mess. I don't care. I'm going to put that in because that's actually more honey. These have worked hard for this, so I will not waste their hard work. Sticky fingers, loving it. Over there now. Just going to give this a quick rinse because it's covered in gunk. And then that was in sanitized water, so it's perfectly fine to put in. Then we're just mixing this up now. Get it further away from the edge. And instantly that temperature's changed now that the cold water's mixing in with the stuff at the bottom that was warm. Could have done it all in the pitcher, to be fair, but you learn as you go. You develop your own ways of doing things and stuff like that too. So that reminds me, I need the thermometer of justice, which is there, and I need the stuff for said blow-off tube if I need to use it. Where's the bloody cable? There we go. So I have to fit this to the end of one of the things, airlock things, and it just goes into a cup of water. Anything that blows off that comes out the top doesn't go into your airlock, because you don't want bits in your airlock. And I'll sit in there for now. So let's check the temperature. Make sure that the temperature is good. And before I forget, I'm going to put some yeast nutrients in. Some people do, some people don't. I am one of the people who do. So, probably should have done this beforehand, but that's life, you forget these things. So 1 tablespoon per gallon of your yeast nutrients, which I should have showed you what I was doing really, but so yeah, literally some Young's yeast nutrients in a glass, a little bit of water, dissolve it. I don't really want to add much more water to this, but I've forgotten to do this, so this just gives, because of the honey, it just gives them a bit more to work with. The yeast just gives it a head start. Although there's lots of other sugars in there with the jam and the marmalade, this will just help the honey help the yeast take on the honey. Right, I'll just bash that in. As near as damn it. Right, yeah, just give that a mix again. And then what we're going to do next, we're going to check the temperature, and then we'll pitch the yeast, depending on the temperature of this. Normally I use these strips on the side, but I've actually ran out of them, I think. I don't think I have any more. I need to have a quick look later to see whether I've got another one or something. I don't think I do, because I think I put them on the sake. So let's check this temperature, see where we're at. Okay, it's a little bit high at the moment, 26.7. Yeah, it's resting at 26.7, so that's going to have to wait. And realistically, I'm screaming inside now because that should have been sanitised, and I didn't sanitise it, did I? Right, in the sanitizer liquid it goes. Thanking you. Stand it up there. So I've got an airlock for this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm literally just going to put the airlock on this, cover up my yeast with a bit of cling film, put the airlock on just to stop any dog hairs or anything getting in there, and check it again shortly to see whether it's ready to rock and roll or whether it needs a bit more time to cool. Shouldn't be that long, to be fair. It's not far off the mark. I'd probably get away with pitching it, but 25 degrees is the rule, so well, that's the rule that I always work by. It's not a written rule, I don't think. The yeast might struggle to. Well, it could kill the yeast essentially at that temperature. I can never use cling film, man. I tell you, it's all or nothing. So just going to pop that over the top like that, just to stop any dog hairs getting in. And we'll come back in a bit. Short while, and I'll be back. So I'm back. I've tried to cool this down as much as possible. I've even had it in the sink with ice cubes around it. It's not really gone down much. It's at 26 now, and I know that I said you shouldn't put it in, but I'm going to anyway. And if the yeast doesn't make it, all I'll do is I'll just put some more yeast in, and that yeast will use the other yeast as food. So that needs to go down into there. I've got my blow-off tube ready to rock and roll, and I'm going to put that on straight away. I'm not even going to have it as a normal thing. Straight away it's going to have a blow-off tube on, because I really don't know what's going to happen. So I've got the yeast here. Let's give it a quick jiggle, and this is going to go into there. Which is probably going to make it too bloody high now. Yep. So I'm going to whack all this yeast in, because I definitely want that in there. I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to take some of that out, because I can't risk. But then again, that could be okay. Nah, it's not. It's not okay. Stop lying to yourself. So let's get all that yeasty goodness in there. Like that. Get that out the road. And then take some of this out. Obviously, oh, piss flaps. There's fucking water in it. Hope it was clean water. I want to see what it tastes like as well. I'm not going to have loads of this though. It is simply just to get that bit of headspace so that it can go ape shit if it needs to. Smells interesting. Didn't taste like I thought it was going to. I thought you'd be able to taste the jams more. You can definitely taste the honey. I'm not too sure about whether you can taste the jams in there as well, or the marmalade. We shall see. So, to create a blow-off tube, what you need is bloody hell. Do you know when you've only got one pair of hands and you just can't flip in? Oh my god! Just put that in there for now. Stay. Stay! Stay. Stop laughing at me, Alithia. Stop laughing at me. It's not funny laughing at your dad while he's struggling. Right. I'm going to have to go and do it over here. And there's all sorts of gunk in here anyway now. Right. No matter how much you think you're prepared, something will always go wrong. You'll forget to sanitize something, or I don't know, the dog will come in and piss all over the floor, which he hasn't done, by the way. I'm just saying, he could. That on there, that on there, that goes in there, and then that goes down into the water there. What that does it creates a seal whilst allowing any of this stuff, once this starts kicking off, whichever way it's going to do it, it'll just go into that tube, into that water, and not cause a mess. I'm actually going to take some of that water out, just because I can. Drip water all over my notes, which is exactly what you want, watery notes. Give this 24 hours and see what's happening. I have no idea what's going to happen. There's a number of things that could happen. It could either work, it might not work, and it could work and taste horrible. Who knows? But that's very interesting. It's like honey water with maybe whiskey. I can't taste the whiskey a great deal in it. But not bad. Right, so we'll give it 24 hours, see what happens. I forgot to take a hydrometer reading, so just done it now. And we are at 1.080, which isn't really that high. Original gravity, 1.080. So yeah, now we'll just leave it, see what happens. It's been sanitized, hence why it's going back in. Now, sometimes when I'm doing beer, I don't sanitize this. I take it off, have a sample, and I tip it away. Because I put it back in and you've got such a small volume of the beverage anyway, you always want to sanitize it if you're aiming to get loads out of it, which I do aim to get a fair bit, well, pretty much all of that I want as a drink. Yeah, so back in it went. I'm still drinking what I had left from what I had to take out of there when I added the honey into the sack mead. So good. It's very sharp before I put that other honey in though. So 7 days, we'll check back, see what's happening with this.